Check out carmarshal.com. The link is in the description. They help support us.
Scathing audit finds Mike Edmondson took repeated handouts, used state police roll for personal gain. By Jim Musty and James Ustien at theadvocate.com December 1, 2017, 11:20 a.m., 26. As Louisiana's longest tenured state police superintendent, Mike Edmondson created a life of luxury for his family at taxpayers' expense, ordering troopers to chauffeur his wife around the state, tapping state resources to service his son's Jeep, and even relying on trustees to walk the family dog at the Department of Public Safety compound where the Edmondsons lived rent-free for years. Edmondson, who retired amid scandal this year, also allowed friends to stay in New Orleans hotel rooms paid for by the city of New Orleans reserved for troopers, providing security at Mardi Gras, ate free meals at the state police cafeteria, ordered inmates to deliver food to his residence, and improperly used the governor's mansion dry cleaning service to clean his uniforms while taking a stipend from the state for dry cleaning. Those are among the findings of a scathing report being finalized this month by the State Legislative Auditor's Office, an inquiry that portrays Edmondson as a freeloader who never turned down a handout. The report, a draft of which was obtained by the Advocate, concludes that Edmondson may have broken several laws during his 9 years as superintendent, a tenure marked by a pattern of using public resources for personal benefit and questionable excesses, like free tickets to the annual Endymion Ball. Edmondson said Friday that he received the draft earlier this week and was still reviewing it. Retired Louisiana State Police head Mike Edmondson deleted texts, misled public after Vegas side trip, inquiry finds. Bombshell report says retired LSP head deleted texts, misled public after Vegas side trip. A newly released state police report contains potentially criminal allegations against Mike Edmondson, the agency's former longtime superintendent. By reporting the document, you will be negating my legal right to review, he wrote in a text message. The process is for me to respond back to them first, not the media. Whoever furnished you with the report did so without the approval of the auditor's office. The report is lengthy and I am preparing a detailed response for the legislative auditor, he added in a later message. I look forward to answering any questions after the release of the final report. The audit began as a review of state police travel, ordered by Governor John Bel Edwards after the Advocate reported this year that a group of troopers charged taxpayers thousands of dollars for overtime and overnight stays at tourist destinations last year as they drove to a law enforcement conference in California. According to the report, Edmondson falsely told state auditors, as he did the public and the news media, that he was not aware of the detours to the Grand Canyon and Las Vegas until after the trip. The Advocate reported Thursday that, in fact, Edmondson remained in contact with the troopers during their entire trip, according to cell phone records and text messages that Edmondson received about his troopers posing in front of the Hoover Dam. A state police internal affairs investigation found that Edmondson deleted text messages off the phone of Rodney Hyatt, one of the troopers on the trip who was recently demoted for submitting falsified timesheets, raising the prospect that Edmondson could face criminal charges. Feds are interested. The allegations against Edmondson also have attracted federal attention, authorities said Friday. The Louisiana State Police has been and continues to coordinate efforts with the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Federal Bureau of Investigation regarding this matter, said Major Doug Kane, a state police spokesman. Kane referred questions to acting U.S. Attorney Corey Amundson, of the Middle District of Louisiana, who confirmed that his office has been and will continue coordinating with state police on this matter. The State Legislative Auditor's Office report could present more significant legal problems for Edmondson, who stepped aside in March after internal affairs investigators briefed him on concerns they had about the troopers' side trip. Among those concerns was Edmondson's use of a state credit card to purchase more than $7,000 in special meals without approval from the Division of Administration. Those meals were not sufficiently documented to show their business purpose, according to the report. Can't see video below? Click here. The auditors determined that Edmondson moved his family into the Department of Public Safety compound without legal authority, and that he had the state pick up his utility bills, including cable television and electricity. The compound, known formally as the Residential Conference Center, was built in 2002 and originally was intended to house the governor and state police superintendent during emergency situations. At some point, the Edmondsons had the residence modified to construct a shoe closet for Edmondson's wife. The auditors noted that Edmondson's use of the residence at an estimated value of $434,720 from February 2008 to March 2017 was not included as a fringe benefit on his W-2 forms. It's unclear whether Edmondson paid federal taxes on the benefit, but auditors clearly believe he should have. +6 These recovered text messages show Mike Edmondson chatting with Louisiana troopers during Las Vegas side trip. These recovered text messages show Mike Edmondson chatting with Louisiana troopers during Las Vegas side trip. A former head of the Louisiana State Police is accused of deleting text messages amid an investigation of allegations that troopers improperly. Statements from DPS employees indicate that Colonel Edmondson is the only state police superintendent to move his family into the compound, the auditors wrote. DPS employees told us that a trustee worked at the compound exclusively to cook, clean and perform other services for Colonel Edmondson and his family, including walking Colonel Edmondson's dog. Edmondson similarly used the dry cleaning service to clean his uniforms and other clothing for free, even though he received a daily allowance from the state police to clean his uniform, a benefit that totaled more than $6,300 between January 2014 and March 2017. Auditors interviewed the state police captain who supervises the troopers assigned to the governor's mansion, who said that he has worked at the mansion for over 26 years, and that no state police superintendent other than Colonel Edmondson has had his clothes cleaned at the mansion, according to the report. The supervisor added that he did not feel that he was in a position to question Colonel Edmondson's actions because he reported directly to Edmondson. Running errands. Rafael Goyeneche, president of the Metropolitan Crime Commission, a New Orleans-based watchdog group that has been critical of Edmondson for years, said the audit marked a day of celebration for the rank-and-file trooper that was aware of what Edmondson was doing to the organization during his tenure, and his self-serving decisions. He was less the colonel of the state police and more the boss hog of the state police, Goyeneche said, referring to the greedy villain from the Dukes of Hazzard TV series, and this report, I think, exposes that. For years, according to the report, Edmondson ordered troopers to provide transportation for his wife, whether she was bar hopping in New Orleans, gambling in Lake Charles or catching a concert in Lafayette. Troopers routinely were used to run personal errands for Edmondson while they were on the clock, the audit found. One trooper reported driving Edmondson's wife, mother-in-law and a friend to and from a Bob Seger concert at the Cajun Dome in Lafayette. State police also frequently gave Edmondson's wife a lift to the airport. Other troopers informed us that they were required to escort Colonel Edmondson's wife and friend to the French Quarter while wearing costumes, which may have included parts of the state police uniform, the report says. The auditors concluded that Edmondson also may have broken the law by providing complimentary hotel rooms to friends and family and receiving an improper reimbursement. Edmondson allowed friends and family members to stay in hotel rooms that were paid for by the city of New Orleans and that were intended for troopers working during Mardi Gras. Edmondson would receive multiple rooms in his name or the names of other troopers, the audit found. He also was reimbursed by state police for a hotel room in 2014, even though the city had bought a hotel room for him elsewhere. In February 2015, two of Edmondson's friends stayed in a suite at the Windsor Court that had been intended for troopers. Edmondson acknowledged inviting the friends but claimed he thought it was being paid for by them, the audit says. High-ranking state police troopers demoted, have pay permanently cut for role in Las Vegas side trip. High-ranking state police troopers demoted, have pay cut for role in Las Vegas side trip. 2 high-ranking state police troopers have been demoted for taking an unauthorized side trip last year to Las Vegas and the Grand Canyon. Colonel Edmondson's friend also said that there were multiple occasions when Colonel Edmondson told his wife and him that Edmondson had booked a room for them at the Windsor Court Hotel, and this may have been one of those occasions, the report says. However, Colonel Edmondson's friend said he and his wife were under the impression that Colonel Edmondson paid for the room personally and had no idea the city of New Orleans paid for the room. The following year, Edmondson secured another hotel room intended for a trooper for his stepdaughter and her friend, at Lowe's New Orleans Hotel. Edmondson claimed the room was an extra room that had been taken out of service because the air conditioner was broken, the report shows. The auditors also determined that Edmondson received free tickets each year to the Indy Mayan extravaganza, an apparent violation of a state law that prohibits public servants from accepting anything of economic value as a gift or gratuity from any person or employee of any person who has or is seeking to obtain contractual or other business or financial relationships with the public servants agency. Indy Mayan paid the state police nearly $400,000 from 2013 to 2017 for troopers to provide security details. Edmondson also used state resources to have minor repairs, washing and detailing services done on his family's vehicles. For instance, he used fleet operations personnel to replace his wife's tires and change the top of his son's Jeep, which has a hard top for the winter and a soft top for the summer, the report says. Free meals. The report also found Edmondson failed to pay for many of his meals at the state police cafeteria. Colonel Edmondson told us that it is possible that during his tenure as colonel, he inadvertently may have walked out of the cafeteria without paying for his coffee, the report says. However, he said he paid for his meals and that his meals were often paid for by other people. The cafeteria manager estimated that Colonel Edmondson did not pay for his meals at least 50% of the time. The auditors also faulted Edmondson for allowing 4 troopers to drive, rather than fly, across the country to an International Association of Chiefs of Police conference in October 2016, saying the road trip and the troopers' side excursions to the Grand Canyon and Las Vegas resulted in at least $13,000 in unnecessary taxpayer expenditures. The report said state police failed to maintain records of which training sessions troopers attended at the conference, making it difficult to determine whether the agency sent an appropriate number of employees to the meeting. The auditors concluded that Edmondson and his former chief of staff, Charles Dupuy, appear to have directed and/or approved conference travel without considering state policy. By not having a centralized system for tracking out-of-state travel expenses, the report said, DPS management cannot monitor the cost-effectiveness of sending employees to certain training events. Kane, the state police spokesman, said it would be premature to comment on the forthcoming audit report, citing the legislative auditor's standard procedures and directives to the department. We continue to cooperate with the legislative auditor's office, Kane said. The department is currently formulating our response to the findings and recommendations of the audit. Edmondson has been given until December 12 to provide a written response to the draft report. Staff writer Gordon Russell contributed to this report.
At some point, when you've been around as long as I have, over 36 years, over 9 years as colonel, to have known that I've served longer than any previous superintendent. You know, as I look back, I can see sometimes why the vast majority of them left just before 4 years. That's when most of them have left, and then you have some that have served up to almost a full 8 years, but that's been very rare in the 25 superintendents that have been head of state police since it became a state police agency. So that's always the thing that goes to your mind. You know, I think you sit there and try to think about, when is it time for me to leave? You know, when does that time come? Is there a good time? Is there a bad time? Because you always try to look at the right time. And I think when you get to the position where it's difficult doing your job, because I've always been about doing my job. I don't think an event or a single event defines someone. I don't think a title defines someone. If I have to tell you who I am, Jim, then that means I'm not doing my job. You should know that. You know, a title doesn't give you respect. Your actions give you respect.
Right.
And I've always been about that. So, you know, I've always sat there and think about it. I live here on the compound. That's been a good thing and a bad thing because you don't get away from it sometimes. And I think that it's important that people do that because you've got to be able to reflect on what you're doing. When you look at the lives that I touch every single day, when you look at the people that I encounter, the things that I have to do, you know, I'm not just head of state police. I wear several titles. I sit on the governor's cabinet. Very proud to do so. Right. I've had an outstanding relationship with Governor John Bell Edwards. I was incredibly proud and honored and humbled when Governor General called me in his office and we had that conversation about being the next colonel. I mean, it was almost overwhelming. And to spend those 8 years as colonel through some very, very difficult times, and then the last 14 months with Governor Edwards. Look at what we've been through. Look at the things that we've done, and certainly you think about when is it going to be time for me to leave? When is it going to be time for me to step down? And sitting down with my family, sitting down with my dad, who I have the utmost respect and dignity to see a man that has raised 4 boys, that buried a son, that has buried his mother and father, and to see the raw emotion pour out of him when I told him that I was leaving. At that moment, at that exact moment, I knew it was time for me to leave. And I think that's what defines an individual, because at the end of the day, it's you and your family. That's who it is.
To be clear, you would object to any suggestion that you reinforce out that any of the controversies of recent weeks have contributed to this decision?
Well, I think it's sad to sit there and see the news when it says that alarming dismissal, resignation. I mean, cloud of controversy. There's always things going on. I run a very large agency that has a multitude of duties and responsibilities. So there's always going to be controversies. There's always going to be issues. Those things are going to be ongoing. It doesn't matter who sits at this desk right here. They're always going to be happening. I believe with all my heart, and I trust and value the integrity of this organization. This is not about Mike Edmondson. This is not about a single individual. This department is much bigger than any one person. So those things are always going to happen. But I believe and respect the process we have in place. Let me tell you something. We're going to get through all this. The 4 conferences that was attended in San Diego, they will speak for themselves. And at the end of the day, if they did something they weren't supposed to do, if they took time they should not have had, if they charged things they should not have done, they will have to pay that back. They will be disciplined. Those things will happen. That's part of a process. That's part of protocols. If we need to change something, I've already changed some things, we'll certainly do that. I welcome the division administration of doing their job of looking at these things. I welcome the legislative auditor. I've talked to them. They're looking at protocols to make sure those protocols are in place to make sure those things happen again. We're going to get past this. I can assure you the conversation I've had with the public and the people that I respect and look up to, they said, look, there's a lot more things going on. As we sit here right now, there are things happening all over the state that needs our attention. We're going to get through this. I'm not going to belittle the moment of that particular trip, but we're going to get through that. We're going to move forward because we have things to prepare for. The public doesn't just expect that from us. They demand that from us.
And just to be clear on this front, you've always been transparent. You've talked about being transparent. There's nothing else that the public doesn't know that you're trying to forestall by stepping aside now. I mean, there's nothing that you're afraid of coming out.
There is nothing that I'm afraid of coming out. I mean, the truth is the truth. Those things will happen regardless. I'm very confident in my tenure as superintendent, my time as a Louisiana State Trooper. I'm proud of every single thing that's happened because that's what's been most important. I think those things will speak for themselves. There's nothing out there that's telling me, Mike, you have to leave. that you need to leave, other than my heart and my conversation that it's time for me to retire. I had those conversations with the governor. I sat down in his office this morning at the mansion at 8:30. I delivered him my intent to retire. We had a pretty lengthy conversation about several different things. A very good conversation, a very productive, very positive conversation, and he accepted my retirement. I honestly don't know an adult life without state police. Right out of college, I was working with East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office as a deputy, so I came into state police. So I don't know life outside of that. You know, what really saddens me when I think about my kids, I miss so much from them. I've asked so much of the individual that I've called my wife, very loving, caring, and supportive person, that I've taken them away from a lot of things. To watch events unfold, my son's home run, walk-off home run, I miss that. You know, I saw him a short time later, but I miss that. An interception of a football and runs it back for a touchdown, I miss that. You know, a three-point shot in a basketball game, I miss that. Graduation at certain events throughout his time in school, I miss those things. I can't go back and recapture that. So, you know, family grieves with you as you move forward because they're part of you. So having those things and missing those things have been all I know. So I guess when you think about that, I don't know what life would be without that. But I believe in this. I believe, and I have believed since a young boy, that God's plan runs perfect. It's a perfect plan. I believe that. And I also believe that God's will, that's what will be done. I've had to make a lot of difficult decisions. But let me tell you something, I make this one with a clear conscience, an open heart, and a clear mind. This is the right thing to do for my family, for this organization, and for Mike Edmonds. I want to take a pause.
Yeah.
And I want to really look at my options in front of me. I welcome those. I'm going to be a part of this community. I'm not going to shy away from that. You're going to see me at events.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I have just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheep up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Charlotte County Cop Watch with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave let's say actually yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where at least I can do it. 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month. Oh my God! Yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, you know, if I got, you know, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. You know, 47,000 of you so far right now, you know, $1 a day, I mean, $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head, help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.